The night on Outpost 47 was quiet, too quiet. The human settler, Daniel, sat in his small metal cabin, staring at the dim light of the power lamp. For 3 nights now, his food had been disappearing. Not all of it, but enough to notice. A packet of dried meat here, a sealed water bottle there. Someone or something was stealing from him. He had checked the locks twice. The doors were secure, the windows sealed. Yet each morning when he counted his supplies, something was missing. In space, supplies meant life. Every lost meal could be the difference between survival and death. Daniel was not a man who could afford to lose anything. That night he decided to wait. He set a trap of silence, turning off the lamp, sitting in the corner with his weapon in hand. He waited for hours, listening to the hum of the wind outside, the soft creak of the metal walls. The outpost was far from the colony center. Few people came here. Whoever was stealing from him had to be desperate or dangerous. Then he heard it, a faint scrape. A light thud, something small moving near the storage crate. Daniel's eyes narrowed. He rose slowly, careful not to make a sound. His weapon was steady in his hand. He moved closer, step by step, the sound of his own breathing louder than the intruder's movements. When he turned the corner, his heart skipped a beat. It was not what he expected. There, crouched by the crate, was a figure. Small, thin, and trembling. Not a soldier, not a thief in armor, a girl, an alien girl. Her skin was pale blue, almost glowing under the dim light of the moon through the window. Her eyes were large, golden, and filled with fear. She wore nothing but torn rags that barely covered her fragile body. In her hands, she clutched one of his food packets as if it were treasure. For a long moment, both froze. Daniel raised his weapon, and the alien girl froze even more, like a hunted animal caught in a trap. "Put it down," Daniel said, his voice low but sharp. The girl didn't move. Her chest rose and fell in quick, shallow breaths. Her golden eyes darted from the weapon to his face, then back again. "Put it down," he repeated, taking a step closer. Her small hands shook, but she did not drop the packet. Instead, she hugged it tighter against her chest as if letting go meant death. Daniel felt a strange unease. This was no hardened enemy, no warrior. She looked weak, starving as if she had not eaten for days, but he could not let his guard down. Desperation made people dangerous, and aliens, especially her kind, were not to be trusted. He kept his weapon aimed at her. "Who are you?" "What are you doing here?" The girl swallowed, her lips trembling. Then in broken human words, she whispered, "Hungry. I'm hungry." The words hit him harder than he expected. He blinked, uncertain. Her voice was soft, thin, almost childlike. She could not be older than 12 or 13, though with alien species it was hard to tell. Her eyes did not carry the look of a liar. They carried something else, fear, pain, and a desperate will to survive. Still, Daniel's instincts screamed at him. He could not forget the war. The battles humans had fought against alien races not long ago. Many of his friends had died in those wars, and now one of them was here stealing his food. "Why my food?" he asked harshly. "Why not the colony? Why come here?" The girl's voice cracked as she spoke. "Colony. Chase me, humans. No mercy." Daniel's hand tightened on his weapon. The words felt heavy. She was running from humans, hiding in the outskirts, and surviving by stealing. For a long moment, silence filled the cabin. Only the wind outside moved. Daniel studied her carefully. The way her hands shook. The way her ribs showed under her skin. The way she held onto the food not like a thief, but like someone clutching life itself. He should have been angry. He should have forced her out. Maybe even ended the threat before it grew. But he found himself hesitating. His finger stayed still on the trigger. His voice, though firm, softened without him realizing. "You've been stealing from me," he said. She nodded slowly, shame filling her golden eyes. "Only food. Only to live." The air felt heavier. Daniel didn't lower his weapon, but inside him, something began to shift. He had caught his thief, but this was not the enemy he imagined. This was not a soldier of war, this was a starving girl. For the first time, Daniel wondered, what was her story? And why did it already feel like it might break him? Daniel did not lower the weapon. His eyes stayed fixed on the alien girl, and hers stayed fixed on him. For a moment it felt as if time itself had stopped inside that tiny cabin. The silence was sharp, filled with fear and questions. The girl clutched the food packet tighter, her thin arms trembling. Her golden eyes glowed faintly in the dim light, not with anger, but with raw fear. Daniel had seen many things in his life. Soldiers in war, raiders on the frontier, desperate men doing desperate acts. But he had never seen eyes like hers. She whispered again, "Hungry." Not fight. Her words were broken, scattered like pieces of glass. Still, they carried weight. The way she said them, like each syllable cost her strength, made Daniel's chest tighten. "Why here?" he demanded, his voice hard. "Why risk stealing from me? You think I won't defend myself?" The girl shook her head quickly, the movement small and sharp, like she was afraid even to breathe wrong. "No choice," she said. "No food, no people." Daniel frowned. "What do you mean, no people?" Her lips pressed tight. She looked at the floor, then back at the food packet in her hands. "All gone," she whispered. "Dead. I run. I hide. I survive." The words were rough, her human language weak, but the meaning struck him deep. Daniel's grip on his weapon loosened just slightly, though he did not lower it. Her people dead. The war had left behind more than broken machines and ruined cities. It had left orphans like her, but doubt still burned in his mind. Could this be a trick? Could she be bait for something worse? Daniel narrowed his eyes. "You expect me to believe that? You sneak into my cabin, steal from me, and now you say you're just a poor little survivor?" Her gaze snapped up, and for the first time, anger flickered there. Not strong, but sharp enough to notice. She pressed the packet to her chest and hissed softly, "I not lie. I not trick. I just hungry." Her voice broke on the last word, almost a sob. She bit her lip, refusing to let the sound escape fully. Daniel studied her, the torn rags on her body, the dirt on her skin, the hollow cheeks. If this was a trick, it was a cruel one. If not, then she was truly alone and desperate. He lowered the weapon a few inches, though his guard stayed high. "If you're telling the truth," he said slowly, "then you've been hiding around here for days. Watching me. Waiting until I sleep." The girl's small shoulders lifted and fell. She nodded once. "Yes, watch you. Eat, you strong. I weak, I take little. Only little." Her honesty startled him. Most thieves lied, spun stories, or begged with fake tears. But she admitted it openly. She had watched him, chosen him, stolen from him, because she thought he could afford to lose what she could not. Daniel should have been furious. Supplies meant survival, and survival meant everything. But instead he felt something else, a heavy unwanted pull in his chest. He asked more softly this time, "How long since you last ate?" The girl looked down at the packet. Her lips trembled. 2 days. Maybe 3. Hard to count. Daniel exhaled slowly. His weapon lowered further, though it was still in his hand. He could not bring himself to aim it at her anymore. She looked too fragile, too broken. A single gust of wind might knock her down, but still a question burned in his mind. Why here? Why not go to the colony and ask for help? Her golden eyes widened and fear returned to her face. She shook her head violently. No colony. Humans there. Hate, chase me. Throw rocks, shout, say kill alien. I run far. I hide, only you. Her words spilled out quickly, almost tripping over each other. Daniel could see her chest rise and fall with panic. The memory of being hunted was fresh in her, like a wound that never closed. Daniel's jaw tightened. He had seen humans act cruel before. Fear and hate of aliens still lived deep in the colonies, but hearing it from her lips made it real. She had no safe place, no family, no food, no one. And now she stood before him, clutching a stolen meal, waiting for his decision. Daniel finally lowered the weapon completely, though he kept it at his side. You're lucky I didn't shoot you, he said, his voice low. Another human would have killed you already. Her eyes watered, though no tears fell. She nodded slowly. I know. She opened the food packet with trembling hands. The smell of dried meat filled the air. She took one small bite, chewing carefully, almost reverently, as if it was the first real food she had tasted in weeks. Daniel watched in silence. Something twisted inside him. Anger? Pity? He wasn't sure. But he knew one thing. This girl was not his enemy. Not yet, still danger lingered. If the colony discovered she was here, they would not show her mercy. If anyone found out he was feeding her, they would not forgive him. And yet, as he watched her eat, he felt his resolve crack further. For the first time in years, Daniel wondered if mercy had more power than hate. The cabin was still, the only sound the faint rustle of the food packet in the alien girl's hands. Daniel leaned against the wall, his weapon now resting at his side. His eyes stayed on her, cautious but curious. She chewed slowly, carefully, as if each bite needed to last. Her small fingers held the packet tight, not with greed but with fear. Fear that if she let go, it would be taken from her. Daniel finally broke the silence. "What's your name?" The girl froze mid-bite. She looked at him with wide golden eyes, her lips parting but no sound coming out. For a long moment she seemed unsure if she should even answer. "Name," Daniel repeated, softer this time. She swallowed hard. Her voice was weak, trembling, but it carried. "Sira," Daniel nodded slowly. "Sira." The name was light on his tongue, unfamiliar but gentle. He tilted his head.
"How old are you?"
Her eyes lowered. She touched her chest lightly, counting on her fingers as if translating numbers in her head. Then she held up 3 fingers. 13. Daniel studied her face, her thin frame. She could have been 13, maybe younger. He had seen human children that age, laughing, shouting, playing in the colony yards. But Sira looked nothing like them. She looked broken, carved down to the bone by hunger and fear. "You said your people are gone," he pressed. "What happened?" Her breath hitched. The question cracked something inside her. She hugged her knees to her chest, holding the food packet close as if it gave her courage. Her eyes shimmered with memories too heavy for her small frame. "War," she whispered. "Humans came. Ships came. Fire fell. Sky red. My village burned." Daniel's jaw tightened. He remembered those days, the campaigns, the orders, the endless fights against alien settlements. He had been younger then, a soldier carrying out commands. He told himself it was survival, humanity securing new worlds. But hearing it now from her trembling voice, the memories felt darker. "My mother, my father." Sira's voice cracked, barely holding together. "Gone, my brothers. Gone, only me. I hide, I run." Her words fell like stones in the small cabin. Each one landed heavy in Daniel's chest. He had heard reports of alien survivors before, but seeing one alive, sitting in his cabin, made the stories real. He asked quietly, almost against his own will, "How long have you been alone?" Her shoulders shook. "Long, many suns. I lose count. I sleep in holes. I drink dirty water. I eat roots, insects, sometimes nothing." Daniel's throat tightened. He had faced battles, bled on alien soil, but hunger like that, he had never known it. She looked up at him then, golden eyes wet but fierce. "You think I thief. You think I lie. But I only want to live." Daniel's hand gripped the weapon at his side, not to use it, but to steady himself. The words cut deeper than any blade. He wanted to look away, to harden himself, but he could not. Sira continued, her voice low but steady now, like she had carried the story too long and could no longer keep it inside. "When I see humans, they chase me. They say, 'Alien? Monster, enemy.' They throw rocks, they spit. They laugh when I fall, I run. Always run." Daniel felt his stomach twist. He knew hatred ran deep in the colonies, but hearing it this way, through the voice of a child, made it unbearable. She touched the scar on her arm, a thin white line running from her elbow to her wrist. "One man catch me. Hit me with stick. I escape," but he laughed. "He say, 'Next time you die.'" The silence that followed was suffocating. Daniel stared at her, torn apart inside. This was no enemy soldier. This was no threat. This was a child broken by a war she never chose. Finally he spoke, his voice rough. "Why me, Sira? Why risk stealing from me when you knew I could kill you?" Her golden eyes lifted to meet his. They did not hold lies, only fragile hope. "Because you are alone. You are quiet. You are not like the others. I watch, I see you eat alone, work alone, not laugh, not cruel." The words struck him harder than he expected. She had been watching him, studying him, waiting for a chance not just to steal, but to trust. Daniel pressed his lips together, unsure of what to say. For years he had built walls around himself. War, loss, survival, they had left him cold, distant, alone. And yet this alien girl had seen through it, had chosen him out of everyone. He wanted to push her away, to say it was not his problem. But the truth hung heavy in the room. He had seen her pain. He had heard her story. He could not unsee it, could not unhear it. Sira's voice broke the silence once more. "Please, do not send me away. Do not kill me. I only want to live." Her words echoed in his mind, louder than the hum of the wind outside. He stood there, weapon at his side, heart heavy, torn between duty and something far more dangerous, compassion. And for the first time in years, Daniel felt his own walls begin to crack. Daniel sat at the edge of his bunk, weapon lying across his knees. The cabin was dim, the single lamp buzzing softly. In the corner, Sierra curled up on the floor, hugging the empty food packet like it was a blanket. She had fallen asleep almost instantly, her small frame rising and falling with shallow breaths. Daniel should have felt relief. He had caught the thief, and the problem was solved. But instead, unease gnawed at him. His mind refused to rest. He looked at her, at the sharp bones under her skin, at the dirt on her face, at the way she twitched even in sleep, like nightmares hunted her. She was only a child, and yet she carried scars of war deeper than his own. His instincts screamed, she is alien. She is dangerous. Do not trust her. Years of training echoed in his head, the lessons drilled into him by officers and commanders. Aliens are enemies. They will use pity as a weapon. Mercy is weakness. But when he looked at her again, those words felt hollow. Daniel leaned forward, elbows on his knees, staring at the floor. His chest felt heavy, pulled in two directions. He remembered battles from the war, the smoke, the screams, the orders shouted through comms. He remembered firing at shadows in ruined villages, told that anyone left alive was a threat. He had obeyed. He had survived. But what if in those shadows there had been children like Sierra? He rubbed his face with both hands, frustration boiling inside. The part of him that was a soldier wanted to end this now. Reporter, remove the risk, secure his supplies. But the part of him that was still human could not. His eyes drifted back to her. Even in sleep, her hands clutched the empty packet tight as if she feared it would vanish. A quiet sound escaped her lips, a whimper soft and broken. Daniel's chest tightened. He had heard soldiers cry out in their sleep, but never like that. That sound belonged to someone who had lost everything. He whispered under his breath, almost to himself, "Damn it, girl. Why did you have to find me?" The wind outside howled against the metal walls, a lonely sound that matched the storm in his mind. He stood, paced the small cabin, fists clenched. If he helped her, he risked everything. The colony hated aliens. If they found out, they would call him traitor, exile him, maybe worse. His supply reports would not match. Someone would notice. And when they asked why, what could he say? I fed the enemy's child, but if he drove her away, if he forced her back into the wild, starving, hunted, she would not survive. And he knew it. The thought twisted him. He told himself it wasn't his problem. He told himself he owed her nothing. But those golden eyes haunted him, even now, even in sleep. I only want to live. He sat back on the bunk, weapon still in his hands. The metal felt cold, heavy, solid, something he understood. He had lived with weapons his whole life. Weapons gave simple answers. Point, fire, survive. But this was no battlefield. This was a cabin with one starving child inside. A war raged in him. Duty versus conscience. Fear versus mercy. He thought of the men he had served with. Some would have killed her on sight. Others would have dragged her into the colony to show her off like a captured animal. None of them would have hesitated. Daniel hesitated. The minutes stretched into hours. He couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her family burning, her village crumbling, her small hands clutching food as if it were life itself. At last, she stirred. Sierra shifted in her corner, eyes opening slowly. She looked around, confusion clouding her face until she remembered where she was. Then fear returned, sharp, immediate. She pulled herself up, pressing against the wall as if expecting him to hurt her. Daniel raised a hand. Easy. I'm not going to shoot you. Her eyes darted to the weapon across his knees, then back to his face. She did not relax, but she did not run either. You should sleep more, he said quietly. Her head tilted, not fully understanding. He repeated the words slower. She shook her head. No, I'm not safe. The words cut deep. Even here in his cabin, she could not feel safe. And maybe she was right not to. He didn't know what he would do yet. Daniel stood, crossed the room, and set the weapon down on the table. He moved slowly, showing her his empty hands. See? No gun. Her eyes followed every motion, cautious, calculating. Slowly, she uncurled her arms. You don't trust me, he said. Sierra blinked, then whispered. Humans. Never trust. Why should I? The words stung, but he could not deny them. Humanity had given her every reason to hate, to fear, and yet she was still here, sitting in his cabin, not running. That meant something. Daniel sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. I don't know what to do with you. Her golden eyes softened just slightly, like she understood more than his words. She whispered, please, just let me live. Her plea hung in the air, fragile but unshakable. Daniel turned away, staring out the small window at the empty night. His reflection stared back at him, hard and worn. He hardly recognized himself anymore. Inside him, the war raged on. Soldier or human, executioner or protector. And for the first time in years, Daniel feared his own answer. The morning came cold and gray. Weak sunlight crept through the thin cracks of the cabin walls, painting long lines across the floor. Daniel sat at the table, staring at a sealed food packet. His hands rested on it, fingers tapping without rhythm. Across the room, Sierra sat against the wall, knees pulled up, golden eyes watching him like a hunted animal. She hadn't moved much since she woke. She hadn't asked for more food. She just sat there silent, as if waiting for his verdict. Daniel's mind churned. Every part of him still screamed caution. If the colony found out he was hiding her, feeding her, they would call him a traitor. Maybe worse. One report, one inspection, one slip, and both of them were finished. But sending her away meant sending her to death. He knew that too well. At last, Daniel lifted the food packet and walked toward her. Sierra's eyes widened. She pressed back against the wall, her thin hands trembling, unsure if this was kindness or a trap. He knelt and held it out. Here, he said. Eat. Her eyes flicked from the packet to his face, searching for a trick. Her lips parted, but no words came. I'm not going to stop you, Daniel said, voice low but firm. Take it, eat. Slowly, very slowly, her hand reached out. She touched the packet as if it might vanish, then pulled it into her arms. She tore it open with shaky fingers and began eating in small, careful bites, like someone afraid of being punished. Daniel watched. Every chew, every swallow looked like relief and pain at once. He wanted to look away, but he forced himself to see, to truly see what hunger had made of her. After a while, he spoke. Why didn't you steal more before? If you'd taken everything, I wouldn't have survived. Sierra paused mid-bite. She looked up at him, eyes shining with confusion, then shook her head. No, never all. Only little. Why? Daniel pressed. Her voice was soft but steady. Because you need live, too. I not want kill you, I only want live. The words struck him harder than he expected. She had been stealing from him for days, yet only enough to survive. Never enough to destroy him. Even desperate, she had shown mercy. Daniel leaned back, exhaling slowly. That was his answer. She was no enemy. Not to him, but he needed to be sure. He stood, walked to the table, and picked up a second packet. He tossed it to her. She caught it clumsily, eyes wide in shock. This one's not stolen, Daniel said. It's given. You eat it now. But you eat it here where I can see. Sierra blinked, unsure. You give food? Yes, Daniel said firmly. Eat, no hiding, no stealing. Eat because I choose to let you. Her lips trembled. Slowly, she tore open the second packet. She ate again. But this time her eyes filled with tears. She whispered something in her own tongue, soft, musical, but heavy with emotion. Then in broken human words she added, Thank you. Daniel felt something twist in his chest. Gratitude. Real gratitude. Not a trick, not a performance. Still doubt lingered. This was dangerous. If anyone saw her here, if anyone guessed, it could end badly. When she finished, she set the empty packet carefully on the floor as if it were precious. She looked at him, golden eyes steady now. Why help me? You no have to. Daniel hesitated. He wasn't sure himself. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was the war still echoing in his mind. Or maybe it was simply that he couldn't stand to see a child starve while he still had something to give. Because you remind me. He stopped himself. The words nearly slipped, but he swallowed them down. He would not speak of the past. Not yet. Instead, he said, because you're alive. And I don't believe in killing the helpless. Sierra tilted her head, studying him like she didn't fully understand. But her eyes softened, and for the first time since he met her, she smiled. Small, fragile, but real. Daniel turned away quickly, unsettled by the warmth it stirred in him. He knew what he had done. By feeding her, by keeping her here, he had crossed a line. one that could not be easily undone. And yet for all the danger, he did not regret it. The dangerous choice had been made. That night, as he lay on his bunk, he stared at the ceiling, unable to sleep. The war inside him was not over, but something had changed. The girl in his cabin was no longer just a thief. She was no longer just the enemy. She was Sira, and Daniel knew deep down that he had just stepped onto a path from which there was no return. The morning came cold and gray. Weak sunlight crept through the thin cracks of the cabin walls, painting long lines across the floor. Daniel sat at the table staring at a sealed food packet. His hands rested on it, fingers tapping without rhythm. Across the room, Sira sat against the wall, knees pulled up, golden eyes watching him like a hunted animal. She hadn't moved much since she woke. She hadn't asked for more food. She just sat there silent, as if waiting for his verdict. Daniel's mind churned. Every part of him still screamed caution. If the colony found out he was hiding her, feeding her, they would call him a traitor. Maybe worse. One report, one inspection, one slip, and both of them were finished. But sending her away meant sending her to death. He knew that too well. At last, Daniel lifted the food packet and walked toward her. Sira's eyes widened. She pressed back against the wall, her thin hands trembling, unsure if this was kindness or a trap. He knelt and held it out. "Here," he said. "Eat." Her eyes flicked from the packet to his face, searching for a trick. Her lips parted, but no words came. "I'm not going to stop you," Daniel said, voice low but firm. "Take it, eat." Slowly, very slowly, her hand reached out. She touched the packet as if it might vanish, then pulled it into her arms. She tore it open with shaky fingers and began eating in small, careful bites like someone afraid of being punished. Daniel watched. Every chew, every swallow looked like relief and pain at once. He wanted to look away, but he forced himself to see, to truly see what hunger had made of her. After a while, he spoke. "Why didn't you steal more before? If you'd taken everything, I wouldn't have survived." Sira paused mid-bite. She looked up at him, eyes shining with confusion, then shook her head. "No, never all. Only little." "Why?" Daniel pressed. Her voice was soft but steady. "Because you need live, too. I not want kill you, I only want live." The words struck him harder than he expected. She had been stealing from him for days, yet only enough to survive. Never enough to destroy him. Even desperate, she had shown mercy. Daniel leaned back, exhaling slowly. That was his answer. She was no enemy. Not to him, but he needed to be sure. He stood, walked to the table, and picked up a second packet. He tossed it to her. She caught it clumsily, eyes wide in shock. "This one's not stolen," Daniel said. "It's given." "You eat it now." "But you eat it here where I can see." Sira blinked, unsure. "You give food?" "Yes," Daniel said firmly. "Eat, no hiding, no stealing." "Eat because I choose to let you." Her lips trembled. Slowly, she tore open the second packet. She ate again. But this time her eyes filled with tears. She whispered something in her own tongue. Soft, musical, but heavy with emotion. Then in broken human words she added, "Thank you." Daniel felt something twist in his chest. Gratitude. Real gratitude. Not a trick, not a performance. Still doubt lingered. This was dangerous. If anyone saw her here, if anyone guessed, it could end badly. When she finished, she set the empty packet carefully on the floor as if it were precious. She looked at him, golden eyes steady now. "Why help me?" "You no have to." Daniel hesitated. He wasn't sure himself. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was the war still echoing in his mind. Or maybe it was simply that he couldn't stand to see a child starve while he still had something to give. "Because you remind me." He stopped himself. The words nearly slipped, but he swallowed them down. He would not speak of the past. "Not yet. Instead," he said, "because you're alive. And I don't believe in killing the helpless." Sira tilted her head, studying him like she didn't fully understand. But her eyes softened, and for the first time since he met her, she smiled. Small, fragile, but real. Daniel turned away quickly, unsettled by the warmth it stirred in him. He knew what he had done. By feeding her, by keeping her here, he had crossed a line, one that could not be easily undone. And yet for all the danger, he did not regret it. The dangerous choice had been made. That night, as he lay on his bunk, he stared at the ceiling, unable to sleep. The war inside him was not over, but something had changed. The girl in his cabin was no longer just a thief. She was no longer just the enemy, she was Sira. And Daniel knew, deep down, that he had just stepped onto a path from which there was no return. Because for the first time since the war, Daniel felt like a human again. And it was because of her. The knock on the cabin door came at dawn. It was not a friendly knock. It was sharp, heavy, the kind that demanded obedience. Daniel froze in place, the mug in his hand trembling. His stomach dropped. He hadn't expected anyone this far out so early. Sira looked up from her corner, her golden eyes wide. Her small hands gripped the edge of the blanket Daniel had given her. She knew the sound too. Danger. Daniel motioned for silence. He set down the mug, reached for his weapon, then opened the door. 3 men stood outside. Colony officers. Their uniforms were clean, their boots heavy with dust from the ride. The man in front, Captain Harlan, gave a tight smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Morning, Daniel," Harlan said. "Mind if we come in?" Daniel's throat tightened. He forced a calm expression. "What's this about?" Harlan's eyes flicked past him into the cabin. "Routine check. Some traders reported missing supplies. Command wants us to verify stockpiles out here. You understand?" Daniel hesitated. A second too long. Harlan's smile widened. "You hiding something?" Daniel stepped aside. "Come in." The officers entered. Boots thudded against the floor. They began opening crates, checking seals, counting rations. Daniel stood stiff, his heart pounding like war drums. In the corner, Sira crouched behind a stack of old equipment, hidden but fragile. Her breath came fast, silent. Her golden eyes locked on Daniel's back, waiting, trusting. Every second was a blade against his nerves. One officer kicked aside a crate and frowned. "Some packets missing here." Daniel's jaw tightened. "I ate them. 3 at once?" The man asked, suspicious. Daniel forced a shrug. "Hunger, long days." Harlan stepped closer. His eyes scanned the room, sharp as knives. Then he stopped. His gaze narrowed on the corner, on the faint shimmer of gold peeking through the shadows. Daniel's stomach dropped. "Who's there?" Harlan barked. Sira flinched. She tried to press deeper into hiding, but it was too late. The captain strode forward, grabbed the equipment, and shoved it aside. There she was, small, thin, trembling, an alien. The room froze. The officers' hands went to their weapons instantly. Harlan's voice dripped with triumph. "Well, well. What have we here? Thought you were smarter than this, Daniel. Harboring an alien. Feeding it. That's treason." Sira's eyes darted to Daniel, full of terror. She whispered one word, "Please." Daniel's pulse thundered in his ears. He knew what the colony would do. They wouldn't question her, wouldn't care about her story. They would drag her out, put her in front of a crowd, and end her life to prove a point. And if he resisted, they would end his too. His training screamed at him. Stand down. Obey orders, survive, but another voice, stronger now, filled him. Mercy is strength. Humanity is choice. He stepped forward, placing himself between Sira and the officers. His weapon came up, aimed not at her but at them. Harlan's smile vanished. "Daniel, don't be stupid." Daniel's voice was steady, though fire burned inside him. "She's a child. She's not a soldier, not a threat. You'd kill her just because of what she is. That's not justice. That's cruelty." The officers tensed, hands tightening on their guns. The air crackled with violence waiting to happen. "Move," Harlan ordered coldly, "or we'll put you down with her." Daniel shook his head. "If humanity is going to survive out here, it won't be by killing children. It'll be by proving we're better than this, better than war." His words hung heavy in the cabin. The officers exchanged uneasy glances. One muttered under his breath, "She's just a kid," but fell silent when Harlan shot him a glare. Harlan sneered. "You think you're making some noble stand? You're finished, Daniel. When command hears of this, then let them hear," Daniel snapped. "But if you want her, you'll have to go through me." The silence stretched. Guns pointed. Breaths held. Sira clutched Daniel's sleeve, trembling. Her eyes were wide with fear, but for the first time there was also something else there. Hope. Finally, Harlan lowered his weapon, though his jaw was tight with rage. "You've lost your mind. But this isn't the place for blood. We'll report this. Command will decide your fate." He turned sharply and marched out, the others following reluctantly. The door slammed behind them. leaving the cabin heavy with silence. Daniel lowered his weapon slowly. His hands shook, though he forced them still. He turned to Sierra. She stared at him, tears shining in her golden eyes. "You protect me," Daniel exhaled, the weight of his choice crashing down. "Yeah, I did." For a moment, the fear and anger inside him broke. He reached out, placing a hand gently on her shoulder. "Whatever comes next, you're not alone anymore." Sierra's lips trembled into the smallest smile. She whispered, "Not alone." The storm outside raged, but inside that small cabin something new had taken root. Not just survival, not just fear, a fragile bond. A spark of hope. And in a universe built on war, that was the most dangerous and most human choice of all.